guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Married to Medicine. This is season 10, episode 8. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So before we get into it, we gonna get a little spicy. Just a little. Because when I tell you the Married to Medicine streets are getting active and they were hot all day, it's 7 o'clock where I'm at, and people still talking about the live that happened last night that Phaedra hosted that had Alicia, Sweet Tea, Toya, and Heavenly. And then people are also talking about this Carlos King comment or rant he had for Dr. Simone. So this is what we're going to talk about. So first up, let's talk about this live. Excuse me. So last night there was a IG live. I guess Phaedra was hosting it, and I guess she oftentimes hosts the lives where you do a watch along with her and the rest of the cast, and they give their thoughts and all of that stuff. Well, from what I deduced from the comments, people were saying that Heavenly wasn't even originally a part of the live. It was just Phaedra, Alicia, Toya, and Sweet Tea. But someone told Heavenly or let Heavenly know that they were saying slick stuff about her. So she decided to get up out her good sleep and get on the live, and things got to going. Okay. Now, I saw on the Neighborhood Talk that the live was almost 10 minutes long. I think I saw it being like 9 minutes and 42 seconds. We're not even going to listen to all of that. I'm going to play, I think the clip that I screen recorded is maybe a minute and 20 seconds long, but you'll get the gist of how this was a mess. So let me play that for you. It's Toya. It's Phaedra. Behave.
I done did it all, baby. You want to do what I did? You call me for relationship advice? You say I got you drunk? I didn't know nobody called you for grown-ass advice.
They was cutting up.
You gave your own advice. I had never done it all.
So, like I said, y'all, the clip I got is only like a minute and 24 seconds. I was not about to listen to all of that, but I did listen to it. And like I said, on the Neighborhood Talk, as well as All True Tea, they have the clip, and it's like 10 minutes long almost. It's like 9 minutes and 42 seconds. They was going back and forth. Supposedly, because I don't remember her Sweet Tea saying it, but allegedly they saying Sweet Tea said that Heavenly is hiding her grandchild. I guess one of her sons that had a baby. Who knows? But in this clip, I was like, oh, they going there with each other. Because you hear Heavenly tell Sweet Tea go to hell, and then Sweet Tea says your mom is there, and that's when Heavenly's like, my mom is dead. And Sweet Tea, give her credit, she stood on it. But then that's when Heavenly's rebuttal to her was like, girl, I got 3 kids, I do what you can't do. I said, now we throwing infertility at each other. I said, well, you did tell her mama in hell. Mess. It was a mess. And one thing I will say is I think Sweet Tea is biting off too much. And y'all know Heavenly gets on my nerves, but Heavenly knows how to play the game and still be likable to everybody. When Toya said what she said about the Beverly Hills girls, she's been watching them, and they don't argue by yelling. And then Sweet Tea was like, I don't give a F about, like, I don't give a damn about them bees. I'm like, girl, those are your seniors. ma'am. At BravoCon, you want to be cool with them. So choose your words wisely. You already kind of shot yourself in the foot in the episode, and we'll talk about that, by saying you don't, there's nothing you have in common with these ladies other than you're a black woman with a vagina. Then why are you on this show? You gonna talk yourself out of a check. Shut up. But the live had me to, especially when Phaedra was like, Honestly, I think they should have cut the live, because I feel like this is a type of argument that needs to be happening at the reunion. But I really do feel like Sweet Tea and Heavenly got the smoke for each other. So I don't think anything is going to be different once we get to the reunion. They probably gonna go even harder because they gonna be in each other's faces. But a mess. All right, y'all. So let's talk about Carlos King's response to Dr. Simone. So Dr. Simone was on Watch What Happens Live on Sunday. It was her and Robin, and she was asked a viewer question, and I'm going to play the response. I'm going to play the audio, not the video, because, you know, NBC Universal like to flag things. But let me play the audio for you. If I can find it in my phone. Oh, here it is.
Resolve their issues with Quad. Everyone would have been able to resolve their issues with Quad if Sweet Tea had never joined the group.
No, I think we've all been together 10 years, and our issues with Quad have been going for quite some time. And in order to resolve your problems, the friend has to show up and want to resolve the problems. And a lot of times, Quad, she's just not around.
All right, thank you for your question. And by the way, what is your relationship with Quad like today, since you were the one to ask her to leave the trip?
So we went through a period after Napa where we didn't talk for a little while. We got that back on track for a few months, and now with Twitter and blogger
Show
interviews,
yes,
we are not talking at all. She sent a beautiful message during the holidays, which I just ignored 100%.
Well, I mean, if it was a beautiful message, why did you ignore it 100%?
Because you have to be genuine, and so be genuine on Twitter, be authentic with the blogger and your interviews.
Okay.
And if you're not going to do that, don't bull me with a beautiful message.
Okay, so that was Simone's response to a viewer's question. And this is my thing. I actually get where she's coming from. And I kind of had this feeling, too, where I felt like Married to Medicine might be playing in our faces. Because it's weird to me that before this episode premiered, with Quad getting, iced out the group or kicked off the island, they were all on IG lives together. They were kikiing and cacaing and cackling and having a good time. But then when Twitter's response to Quad getting iced out the group, she's now liking and doing interviews of how they did her wrong. So that to me is sending mixed signals to me as a viewer. So I can only think what it's sending to the ladies, because you were cool with them before the episode aired. So I think that's what Simone is talking about. Like, before the episodes aired, y'all were back to talking to each other because we saw her do lives with the ladies. We didn't even know Quad getting iced out the group was coming till now. And now she is liking things about negative things about the ladies. We did see that she did do an interview with Carlos King. It was a 2-part. I watched the first part. I skimmed through the second one. Quad speaks in riddles and hyperboles, and I got annoyed after a while. And so I get where Simone is coming from. Like, don't give me no sweet, kind message over the hiatus when nobody's really talking about Married to Medicine, but everyone's coming at Dr. Jackie, and rightfully so, and think I'm supposed to respond even though you still liking negative things. And, well, wait for that message. So Carlos King didn't like the whole blogger comment, but although it wasn't even that big of a deal of a comment, all Simone said, she's done interviews with bloggers. Be authentic when you're speaking to the blogger. But I guess he took it as a shot at him. So this is his response to Dr. Simone.
Say whatever you want to get some attention, baby, because you're not getting any attention on that show. Okay? So you can call me what you want. Your show, you're not getting no attention on the show. You're an OG. Okay? No one talks about Dr. Simone and Married to Medicine. No one. No one cares about Anything Dr. Simone has to say. Nobody cares what you have to scream on your own show, child. So you calling me a blogger is not offensive to me, baby. I'm not offended by that. I'm a journalist. You can call me a blogger. You can call me whatever you want to, Dr. Simone, but you won't call me boring. That's what you won't call me, baby. And that's the reason why Married to Medicine was a chop this episode, because maybe Dr. Simone, if you get off of Dr. Jackie's ass, you can really see how your show sucks without Quad. But that's okay. You can call me what you want, Simone, but you won't call me boring. Because no one cares what Dr. Simone has to say, and I love you. And I love Cecil. And I love the kids. Okay? Bye, Dr. Simone. Now I gave you something to talk about because no one else is talking about your storyline and the apartments that you have, honey, on your portfolio.
So that was Carlos King's response to Dr. Simone's blogger comment. Mind you, when I first heard about this online, because I told y'all, like, everyone's been talking about it, I thought she had, like, either mentioned him by name or made, like, a real derogatory comment about, like, him being a blogger. But, like, she didn't. And even if she did, because I, from time to time, have watched his lives with Dr. Heavenly. He be going in on them because he's Team Quad, which is his right. But honestly, if you're a journalist, you're supposed to be non-biased, and clearly you're showing your biases, so that makes you a blogger. That doesn't make you a journalist. Even though I think people are saying he has a journalism degree, that's all well and good, but if you're not using it in the correct way, you don't get that title, in my opinion. And him saying he wasn't offended, but you talked about it for almost 2 minutes and you were shading her, you definitely were offended. Now, we've talked about things, Carlos King's work over here. We talked about his interview with Nene Leakes. I told you I enjoyed it. As well as his interview with Kenya, enjoyed both of them. Really enjoyed the banter back and forth he had with both ladies. I've been seeing clips that he did with, that colorist Erica Mena. And the interview I thought was somewhat interesting. I saw his interview that he did with British Williams, and I thought it was an interesting interview as well. And I just saw that he has an interview with Diamond from Crime Mob, and, the Love and Hip Hop Girlies is going up for it. So he has good content, but that content he makes is blogger content. And the fact that he got so about it makes me feel like he doesn't like to be referred to a blogger, be referred as a blogger, even though he makes blogger content and commentary. Like, he talks about his shows that he does on OWN, as well as he talks about almost all of the Housewives shows. So you're doing what bloggers do. Like, you get paid to talk about the Housewives shows on your platform. That is what a blogger does. You find a niche content that you think is your niche, and you speak about it, you blog about it. So it didn't make sense, other than in my mind that he finds being called a blogger as something derogatory, because her just calling you that, or not, maybe that's the thing, maybe he wanted her to mention him by name, but like, why would she if she knows you've been talking trash about her? She called you a blogger and she kept it pushing. So, Carlos, you just showed how pressed you really were. Like, you were big mad, bro. And you should have just owned it. You should have just owned that you felt some type of way. Because the whole, like, you're boring. Okay, she's boring on a show about doctors. I don't find Dr. Simone boring. Y'all told y'all she's my favorite on the show. But her story has been pivotal to the show. So you just sound upset that she called you a blogger because you don't like being referred to that, because you feel as though it's something that is beneath you. That's the energy that it's giving. And I feel like as though if you don't want to be referred to as that, then stop making the content. Stop selling your allegedly cups, your raindrops shirts. Stop selling all of that merch if you don't like to be called that. Because in order for you to be able to sell that merch to your people is because you've built a platform on here as a blogger that has garnered so much success that you have the ability to make merch. Because nobody was checking for Carlos King beyond YouTube. Like, if he wasn't putting out content on OWN. All right, y'all. So the episode opens up and they're still in Napa Valley. We know Quad just left after the lady said girl, we no longer want a relationship with you. It's time for you to pack your stuff and roll out. Do. And so Quad left. So they're all waking up, eating breakfast. We see Simone on the phone talking to Cecil about getting things ready for the boys in their apartment. And then we see Jackie and Heavenly sitting down to have breakfast together. And you know, their friend Jackie talks about how their friendship has come a long way. We find out that Heavenly is leaving earlier because she is I think it's Alora's graduation. She also shares with, you know, we know that, I guess Jackie knows that Alora is going to FAMU, and we find out that she talked to her saying like, girl, I'm the Olivia Pope of gynecology. If something goes down, I will get me and my gladiators to fix it. So that's always good to have. You know, Heavenly is still kind of weary about Alora going to FAMU. She's also saying, oh, that wouldn't happen to my daughter. And like Jackie said, a lot of people say that and it happens. Girl, she ain't never lied. The amount of girls that got pregnant in undergrad, especially at A&T, girl, babies, just babies, all right? So, so pretty much, they have that moment. We find out that the girls are being split into groups. You got, I guess, Sweet Tea, Jackie, and Heavenly going on this thing called the Tuk Tuk. But it looks like just kind of like a souped up go-kart. Not really, a souped up go-kart, like a golf cart, where, you know, because the lady said, I think it goes no faster than 20 miles per hour, where they go around the city. And they also gave them, like, the little wine in the cans, the, like, I know it's not called caffeinated cans, because is it caffeinated? I don't know is it? Y'all know that it got the little bubbly in it, but it's like in a can. And then the rest of the ladies are going to a spa day. So we see that Sweet Tea is feeling a little bit better now that her and Heavenly, I guess, came to some type of agreement at that table when they was at having the dinner. Not dinner, I think it was lunch. Lunch in a little in the why am I losing my words? When they were having lunch, like while Toya was talking to the wine company that she works with her Toya drinking club or wine club. And honestly, to me, it was just a half thing. Like, they were just trying to smooth things over and keep it pushing. But they honestly need to sit down and have a conversation. But clearly, we can tell after that live, they ain't had no conversation. It just got worse. It got worse. But while they're in the little tuk-tuk boat, you have Sweet Tea saying that these are, you know, old grandmas and that, you know, they're gentle old ladies. And it's just like, it sounds stupid coming out of her mouth to me because you married somebody that's their age. So, like, is your man an old man? Is he a gentle old man? Is he a granddaddy? Is he a pappy? Like, you married somebody their age. So the digs, and I don't know if she means to be digs, even if she's trying to be funny, they're not funny because you married somebody that old. And you're choosing to be in a group. And like I said in the spicy corner, she's kind of shooting herself in the foot by bringing up, like, she's going to talk herself out of a job by being like, we don't really have much in common other than, you know, we are black women with vaginas, you know, I'm young, I'm a millennial. And it's like, yeah, girl, I'm a millennial too, but I'm not a millennial hanging out with people in generation like X. Or yeah, would they be generation X? And Jackie is a boomer, wouldn't she be? Either way, I'm not hanging out with people that much older than me. That decades, several decades older than me like that. And talk about how old they are. Like, that doesn't make sense. You're trying to build relationships with them because at the end of the day, you need them to keep this check. Don't get kicked off the island like Quiet Girl. Don't do it. So they end up going to the, like, vineyard. It's really cool. Sweet Tea end up choking. Like, I mean, choking on the drink that they gave her as they're sitting down. So it seems like Jackie and Heavenly want to, like, refine Sweet Tea a little bit better to get her to, like, on their level. I don't think that's going to happen. Sweet Tea is kind of, like, taken aback that they don't, like, really get her jokes because they were sitting down in the wine place in the like amongst the like the vineyard and stuff, and she was like, oh, they were like, oh, this is a really lovely charcuterie board, and she called it a charcuterie board, which I probably would have giggled at if it was me and my friends like crapping, like, firing off jokes like that. But you're not around people that you've built that type of friendship with where they know you're funny, and also it's like they are way older than you, so your humor is not the same as theirs, so they're not gonna find it funny. And you could tell that she was kind of like, oh, y'all didn't get it, because Jackie tells her, sweetie, not today, we having a good time, girl, hush. Hush. It's lovely, don't ruin it. And I was like, dang. So we see the other girls pile into the Sprinter, and they can't find Phaedra. All you see in the parking lot is a blonde bob just going shh, 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 shh. And she finally gets to the car, and we find out Phaedra had diarrhea. They get to the spa. 2 ladies can take a mineral bath. The other 2 could do the mud bath, but they were like, it stinks. I probably would have did the mud bath just to like experience it like one good time. I never thought it stank though. I never thought it stank. And Phaedra talked about she don't want it to get in her coochie, like in her vagina. And Simone was like, it will not get into your vagina. And I was like, yeah, girl, it's not going to get into your vagina. Unless you have a gaping hole down there, it's not going to get into your vagina. And then Phaedra talking about she don't want her vagina to smell because her vagina smell like peaches. And she been, girl, no, it don't. No, it don't. And if it does, that's an issue. That's the thing. When people be like, oh, your vagina is supposed to smell like fruits and berries. Girl, it is a acidic area. It's not. Is it supposed to stink? No, but it's not supposed to smell like Fruit of the Loom and what's it called? An Eve body spray. I don't know what else they be spraying down there. But I'm just saying, you shouldn't be doing that. You're going to mess up your pH balance. So they're sitting in there giggling and kikiing about the whole experience. Then they leave the spot, like the bath area, and they go sit out around outside. And we have a conversation. We find out that Kwame, I think that's how you say his name, is a lot more appreciative of Alicia's services as a mom and a full-time doctor, because he's at home with the kids, and they show a scene of her like listening to the kids scream, and she's like, are they okay? And he's like, yeah, they arguing right now. And so Simone was like, well, does he appreciate it? And she was like, yeah, he even told me to my face, like he told me like, no, I have a newfound respect of like what you do, because they show flashback scenes, and he seems to be very like, a woman is supposed to do this, and a man is supposed to do this, and this. And it's in this day and age. Yeah, in my mind, are there certain roles I think a man should do if I'm in a relationship with them? Yeah. But I also believe that it's a partnership, and I'm not going to be doing all the physical labor or emotional labor in this relationship because it's a partnership. So then Alicia lets us know that she was raised by a single mother, and that her mom kind of always instilled in her like, you don't need a man, and you don't really need a man as long as you have your own. I come from a 2-parent household, and both my mama and my daddy said the same thing: get it on your own, so you ain't got to depend on nobody except us. But they're like, Toya speaks up, and she was like, but when you're younger, yes, but as an adult woman, yes, you need a man. No, Toya, you need a man, because Eugene, but that's the thing, Toya is blessed to have a guy like Eugene, not somebody that's going to hold it over your head, that they pay the bills, that they do everything, that's going to abuse you with their financial resources. Eugene seems like a really good guy that is in love with Toya. Eugene gives very much the nerdy dude, got the head cheerleader in charge, and he not gonna lose her, so he gonna do whatever he can to keep her and to make her happy. So blessings to her. While they're sitting there, they asked Phaedra about wanting to get married, and she was just like, nah, I don't think I want that. Simone and them were like, well, you probably don't want that now because you're busy with your boys, but they're gonna grow up and leave, and you sure you're not gonna be lonely? And she was like, no. Phaedra was like, I feel like those who have a lot of financial means and all that stuff shouldn't be getting married. And then she talks about how divorcing Apollo was very stressful for her. Like, she was like, we were in love, I was in love with him, and then it went down very quickly. And she was just like, that's just not for me. Now, my thing with Phaedra is, girl, I've always believed Phaedra knew what Apollo was doing. That's always been my belief. She just was like, the block got too hot and Apollo was moving too sloppily, that she said, one of us can't go to jail, and I'm not gonna be it. So deuces, bro. Deuces. But I couldn't believe they showed the footage of Apollo, the whole scene in the garage. One of my favorite gifts is "Get away from me with this, Apollo. Get away." I thought they was gonna show her with her hand. And I was, because Phaedra was over Apollo with that. Apollo was over Phaedra. And they asked her about her boys. And she was like, well, have y'all told them about that? And she was like, they read. And they were like, well, oh, so they know on their own. And then I think Toya said something. She was like, well, no, I tried to get ahead of questions. And then Phaedra was like, well, that's what you do in your household, but that's not what I do in mine. And Toya was like, yep, you got a point. You shut me up right there. But I think Toya also said, well, don't you want to show your boys like a successful marriage? And I guess, some people say the cast of Married to Medicine is very male identified. And for some people, I can see where they come from with wanting to push this on the Phaedra. Because I feel like if she says she doesn't want to get married, she don't got to get married. But I also think that you can have you don't have to be centered in like male identity or male identified to want your friend to be with somebody or to want your friend to have companionship and not be lonely. But I also don't think the society has shown women in a positive light of living by themselves and not being lonely. So some people just are like, I don't know. And plus, I don't think that like humans are meant to be alone, but I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, you need to be married. But I'm saying like you need to have a strong community, because normally the people that be living off the grid and in isolations, something in that brain be it don't be right, because you're not supposed to be alone. You start hallucinating and think, yeah, you need a community more so. Like you can have romantic partnership, but you also should have a community that you're surrounded by that breathes life into. While that conversation was happening, we see Eugene go to Cecil's house to smoke some cigars. I'm with Simone. I do not like the smell of cigars. My daddy loved him a good cigar, okay? Him and his friends. They stank. I don't like them. So I'm with her. Take your clothes off. Wash. So they're outside smoking, and they start talking about Dr. Alicia's husband. And a lot of people felt some type of way about them having this conversation, but I'm like, men gossip like we gossip. So I didn't care. And I also think it was good to see them not co-sign what he was saying, because it gave very much that he don't do nothing at that house, but he expects her to do everything, and they have 2 kids together. The whole thing about like, well, he's Nigerian and he was born in Nigeria but raised in Jamaica isn't really a good, isn't a good excuse anymore when we have Jamaican fathers and Nigerian fathers who are just involved in their children's lives and take pride in taking care of their kids. Like the whole like, well, that's how he's used to being waited on. Then if y'all got enough money, get a maid and get a nanny. But I'm not going to be the only one in this house struggling to take care of these kids because we made them together. But they were just talking about how like, yeah, I don't think what he demands of Alicia gonna fly in the group, because and it's not, because they do have very strong-willed women in the group that will check or say something about their husbands. They've done it before. And I really do feel like they were kind of, and like Simone said, Alicia plays Miss Demure and docile in front of her husband, but when she's not around him, she is very vocal about how she feels. I don't need to be with no one. I got to flip a switch. I need to be Leah 24/7. Okay. I need to be myself around you. If I got to do all of that, then we don't need to be together. And I don't think I think Eugene, you needed to use a better word than barbaric, because I don't think he's barbaric, but I do think he's very old fashioned. But Cecil made a point. He was like, when you're younger, you start to learn more and you start to change your ways of knowing that you can't just like talk to someone this way or demand certain things, because you're not going to get anywhere with your wife. Like you have to start changing. And I do think like you could tell that everything's not peachy keen with Alicia and her husband, because when they flash back to that scene of when she was ready to go, he really was like, hey, give me 5 minutes. We having an important conversation. It could have just really been him just saying, oh, okay, just give me 5 minutes. It's tone. It's like my mama always says. It's the tone and tenor of how you say something. He could have just said like, hey baby, just give me 5 minutes. I just gonna want to wrap up what I got to say. Instead of being like, we having an important conversation. And then you can tell Alicia wanted to say something because she paused and she looked at him. And then she walked, and then she like turned around. So she not comfortable with the way that man talked to her. She's doing a lot of like, I gotta submit. You don't really have to submit. Honestly, if you do have, like, what I've been taught is y'all both submit to each other. Not one person doing that. Because you just always compromising and submitting is an abusive relationship to me. I ain't doing all of that. I ain't your maid. I ain't your slave. You could pay people to be your maid. Okay? So, the last scene, the second to last scene we have, well, not even the second to last scene. My bad, y'all. I'm forgetting scenes because we have a heavenly scene and then Sweet Tea scene. Oh, the last night of them being in Napa. So they're in Napa. They're having dinner together. They're talking about Sweet Tea and her fibroids. And, you know, she said she went to the doctor. They told her she was just going to have to deal with the pain. I got some things about that situation. Then Dr. Jackie brings up for like having a surrogate and explaining the more things you have to add on that person's plate or the more stipulations you have, the more it costs. Like some surrogates, the people asked them not to have sex. And then Toya showed how slow her and Eugene is. Because she was like, well, Eugene didn't even want to have sex when I was pregnant, but he did it for me because I needed it. But he was talking about how he didn't want to have sex because he didn't want a nut on the baby's head. Girl, what? That doesn't even work like that. And you got both Simone and Jackie, the two OBGYNs, being like, girl, what? That's how you know people don't know how a vagina looks on the inside. Or like, because it's your vulva, your vagina, then your cervix, which is supposed to be like the barricade to make sure your actual like uterus is protected from anything, and your baby implants in your uterus, not your vagina, and the cervix is there to keep, to protect the baby from any like foreign substances. So you nothing, it's like a man coming inside a woman is not going to get on a man coming inside of a pregnant woman is not going to get on the baby. Plus the baby is wrapped up in a placenta, which is also a barrier to protect the baby. And I'm glad Jackie said Eugene's a doctor. I said, yeah, he sounds stupid. He sounds stupid. But they finish out the dinner by saying, like, does anybody regret what happening? I.e. icing out Quad or kicking Quad off the island. And everybody was like, no. She been acting funny for a while now, and maybe her sitting this season out for a while, maybe she come back a little bit different. Because I do think Quad is coming back. I definitely think she's coming back, and she wants to come back because Carlos King over there sending screenshots of Quad's name trending for Married to Medicine. And see, this is where Carlos is going to get in trouble, is because if you don't want to be called a blogger, you say you're okay with being called a blogger. Don't be getting called a messy blogger, because this is messy. Like, Quad just sold you out. Because why are you sending screenshots? And also that, like I said, that doesn't make you a journalist, because you're very one-sided. That's just my thoughts. So they end up taking a group picture. They leave Napa. When they get back to Atlanta, we see this really cute scene of Eugene with his surgeon light on, taking Toya's tracks out and them bonding, and him saying this accounts for a date. And she was like, no, it don't. And he was like, yes, it does, because this is intimacy. And he was like, I just want to spend time with you. And Toya's like, you can spend time with me on a date. But I did think it was a sweet scene. Like, he was legit in there. Because I said, you cut that lady hair, she going to be hot with you. We then get this scene with Alora and Heavenly, where Alora tells Heavenly, like, since she's going to be going to school, and, you know, they're always, like, together like this, she thinks it would be important for her mom to reach out to her sister. Now, we know the history with Dr. Heavenly and her sister is not a good one. Dr. Heavenly was the smart one who was held up in a closet, forced to study and live her life in the books, while her sister was, with her words, the pretty one out there roaming and running the streets. And it also seems like the mom was pitting them against each other, and it was a competition. When the mom passed away, I guess her dying wish was for Heavenly and her sister to get along. I think her sister's name is Denise or something like that. It starts with a D. But she was just kind of like, Heavenly was just like, I don't know if I could do that. Well, Alora was like, you should do that. You should reach out. What it sounds like is that Denise is a lot more sensitive and takes a lot of things Heavenly says very personal. And Heavenly, I guess, doesn't mean them, or also does mean them personally. But I think Alora approached this conversation very well, because people always say a child needs to stay in a child's place, but she's becoming an adult, and I think it was a good way to approach the situation by telling her mom, like, hey, I'm leaving. Like, we're not going to be together all the time. And I really think it would be in your best interest to reach out to your sister, because time is going on and things are changing. And you might run out of time, just talk to your sister. And at first, Heavenly was like, girl, no. But then Laura was like, call her. And she was like, okay, I'm going to call her. No, Laura was like, call her right now in front of me, which makes me feel like Heavenly has probably said she going to call her, but never called that lady. So she calls her. She gets the voicemail. And Laura was like proud of her mom for doing it. And Heavenly tells her, she said, do you know how many fights I've been in with her? She done scarred my face. And Alora was like, I'm not going to let her beat you up. I'll go with you to her house. So it looks like either her sister lives in Atlanta or maybe Florida, but she seems to be closer than we thought. I thought the lady was like probably across the country somewhere, but hopefully they figure it out. They probably just need to go to therapy together and really hash out their differences, because what it sounds like is neither one of them feel like they hear each other, because Heavenly was like, she doesn't see my side, and Alora said, and you don't see hers. So it just seems like there's a lot of hurt on both sides, but maybe if they sit down with a counselor, they can move forward. So the last scene of the episode was Sweet Tea going to, I guess, another gynecologist. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all this, and y'all might be mad at me, and that's okay. We could discuss it in the comments, but I have been feeling like people were being really insensitive to Sweet Tea and her fibroids, especially when a lot of people were like, girl, it seems like Sweet Tea scammed her way or hit a lick with Dr. G, because, her way of talking to him was sending a baby emojis with like a rose and a kissy, talking about she could give him what she need, like give him what he needs, which was a baby. And it's like, but you don't know you can't have kids, or it's going to be difficult for you to have kids. And at first I felt like people were being really insensitive, but after this scene, I was like, something about this it's pretty hard for me to believe. As someone who's an Army brat, government insurance is good insurance. And if Sweet Tea has been in the government as long as she states she has been, then I know for a fact you had enough insurance to go to the gynecologist or get your yearly pap smears. And they would have talked to you, or you would have explained to them what issues you were having if you were there. So it does kind of feel like you did some false advertising, sis. Now, I'm not hating on the lady or trying to belittle or demean her for having endometriosis, because that's what she finds out at the doctor, or having fibroids. But it does sound like false advertisement. Like, you saw him, you lied, and because you can't tell me when your periods are that severe that you're taking muscle relaxers. Like, normally, girl, all you need to do is pop a Tylenol, a Midol, maybe some Excedrin, some Advil, but you are taking muscles relaxers for how badly your cramps are. You definitely knew something was wrong. No, your cramps should not be that debilitating. So I kind of do feel like, girl, you was lying. like you knew something wasn't right down there. So she ends up calling Greg. I was surprised that his response wasn't negative, which I think is a good thing, because she already feeling bad, because Sweet Tea says she really wants to have kids, and she can't believe that she's the one struggling to have kids. She never thought she would be the person to be going through this, and she just she's not happy about it. But, you know, hopefully she does end up with a child if that's honestly what she genuinely wants. I think a hard pill to swallow as a woman is, for some women, they feel like, you know, my body is meant to have kids. And when they want kids and find out that it's hard for them to do, they take it as a dig to their womanhood. But there's plenty of people who are women that were born without ovaries, that were like, that can't have kids, that, you know, they've gotten sick, and that, like, that doesn't make you any less of a woman. And sometimes you're not meant to have kids. You're meant to make relationships with other people's kids and help them. I know someone who was a lot older but wanted kids, but ended up, she never had the ability to have them, but she got an opportunity to adopt some kids, and she's happy. Like, those are her kids. You can't tell the lady nothing. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that's the reason why you were supposed to have them. These were supposed to be your kids all along. Like, they might not have came through you, but they're yours. You know what I mean? So I think if you look at it in different ways, I wish people would look at it differently, where it's not a slight to who you are, and you're not broken. You're not broken. You're not broken because you can't have no babies. You're just not. Okay, even men who can't produce enough sperm, you not broken either. Like, sometimes it's not meant to be, and that's just a hard pill to swallow. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. You know, hop down in them comments below. Give me your thoughts. If you like what you heard, thumbs it up. If you want to, I'm about to say, if you want to subside, if you want to subscribe, do so. But as always, remember to be bravely authentic. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.